speaker we have today, her name is Shagufta Patel. She's an editor, sleep talk consultant, and a trainer, people, people and parent coach, and mother of two. If I have to say briefly about her, she's passionate about people and the change, with a firm belief that life does not get better by chance; it gets better by focusing on change. She went on from being a homemaker for many years to a career woman and inspiring many along the way. Today, she is a successful coach and entrepreneur. However, for a good part of her life, she was a very passive and timid homemaker. In 2010, as of 37, she broke loose from her traumatic marriage. It was not easy for her, because she had no working experience before, which she can fall back in. As challenging it was, because she was choosing to move into further a future that very uncertain to her. But however, she turned her life around completely. Even though it was daunting, she built herself bit by bit, learning nuances along the way. And over the years, she has learned the tools that required for anyone who wishes to move from present situation to their desired life. Now she helps and offer the solution to the students, parents, entrepreneurs, executives, and the CEOs who are seeking to scale up personally, socially, and professionally. Here I am. I welcome you, Shagufta. Welcome, and stage is yours. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Yes, thank you so very much. And thank you to Brainciti and thank you to Dubai Jobs Hunt for the wonderful work that you guys are doing. Excited to be here, to be sharing. And today's topic, as we know, is how to sharpen your professional image. So let's get started. I'm going to start my screen share. All right. Let's see this. Hold on for a minute. Play here. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes, this is, you can see it.
Fabulous. All right, so today's topic, as you know, is how do you sharpen your professional image? And before we get to know as to what really is an image and what are the elements and why is it important, I want to show you this. So what is this? Yeah, it's a fingerprint. And each one of us has a fingerprint which is very unique, which is very different from the other person's. And so it is with our image. When you meet somebody, you're also creating a unique impression whenever you're interacting with someone. Now, what is this image or what is this impression is your image in the eyes of others. And why is this image important? Because it is everything about you. So the way you talk, the way you dress, the way you speak, the way you sit, the way you communicate, everything about you collectively, your behaviors, your etiquettes, your mannerisms, all of it put together is your image. And this is how people see you. This is how people perceive you. And it wouldn't be wrong to say that, your impression or your image, ultimately affects the success that you get. So let's go on. Let's look at this person. We all know who he is, right? And he carries a certain image. We have a certain perception about him. And where did we get it from? Everything that he does, the way he behaves, the way he talks, the way he communicates, the things he says. So based on that, we have created an image about him. And this person, we all know who he is, of course. He's President Obama. Then he has a certain image as well. Again, how did we create this image? It was all based on the things that he was doing before he came into office, when he came into office, after he left office. So everything about you, right, is creating an image in the eyes of people who are observing you. This picture is obviously photoshopped, right? And this is the same person, but just photoshopped a little different. Now, if you had to see this image, or if you had to see this picture before even he came into office, I'm sure you would have had a different image of him, right? So every little thing about you is going in some way to create that image about you. So this is Obama photoshopped. I have some more pictures for you. So look at him. Look at him here. Very clearly photoshopped. But then you see how, you know, an image of a person changes just in a photograph as well. And look at him here. So the totally gangster look that he has here. Now, if I were to tell somebody, hey, look, this is going to be your president, and, you know, they would obviously, oh my God, what are we getting ourselves into, right? So image is very, very important. And coming back closer to home, closer to India, we all know who he is. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he's been in term for so many years now. All right. And this is what he looks like now. But the picture on the left is what he was a couple of years ago. And this is one person who's really worked up on his image. And you see the difference. It's so clear. He's changed the way he's dressing up now. He's worked on his communication. He's worked on a lot of things to create the perception, or he's built up his brand. He's built up his personal brand in such a way that he's a force to reckon with in today's world. So going forward, when we talk about image, it is very, very important for you as a professional. And not only, you know, people have images, you know, even things have images. So if you can see my screen here, or you can look at my screen here, I have 3 pens here, all right? And one is obviously a very, very ordinary looking plastic blue pen. One is a little better, which is, you know, it's got a little better look. And the other one is, of course, a cross pen. So the point here is, if things have images, and if I were to ask you to pick up one pen, you would obviously go with a branded pen. Everybody likes good things, right? So if given a choice, you would definitely pick up a good thing or something that looks good. So if things have image, and if the image is so important for a simple thing as a pen, how important do you think an image is when it comes to you as a professional? It is very, very important. So in order to be successful in anything, and when I say anything, it means anything. All right. So it can be personally, it can be socially, it can be professionally. You can be a student, you can be a homemaker, you can be, you know, somebody who is looking for a job, or you can be an executive in different departments. You can be a CEO, you can be an entrepreneur. We all want to be successful, and everybody carries an image. So in order to be successful, 2 things need to happen together. And what are those 2 things? So the first is getting a chance to do something. Obviously, you will not be able to perform till you don't get a chance. And the first thing is performing when you get the chance. Now, moving forward, performing when you get a chance depends on, obviously, your education, the academics that you have. You're skilled in certain things, right? So this is the education that you carry. You can be a marketeer, you can be a teacher, you can be a doctor. So that depends on the education that you carry. Also your experience, what is the experience that you're carrying with you? And obviously the life skills. So the life skills are what we also call as the soft skills. So your performance will depend on your education, your experience, and your life skills. But they're getting the chance to perform. It largely depends on the impressions that we are creating, the first impressions. Now, we've all heard about these 2 sayings around impressions. And can someone tell me those 2 sayings that you've heard around impressions? Anyone? Anyone would like to quip in? Okay, so let me tell you here. So we've heard about that first impressions are last impressions. That's one. And on the total other end of the continuum is the other saying that we know, which says that you cannot judge a book by its cover. All right, so these are the two sayings or the two quotes that we know around first impressions, that the first impressions are the last impressions, and don't judge a book by its cover. So then you would ask, which of the two are true? Well, actually, both are true. Both these quotes are absolutely, absolutely true. Because first impressions is one thing, but definitely impressions do change. You would have a certain first impression about somebody when you're meeting him for the very first time, but over time, that impression definitely can change. Either which ways, the graph can tilt either which way. So if you've had a very good impression of somebody, there's a good chance that ultimately you would realize, oh, no, 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 that is not what I was thinking about this person, and vice versa. But in cases of creating first impressions or creating or taking your conversations forward, it's always the first impressions that matter. So whether you're going for an interview, whether you are meeting somebody to do business, or you're meeting somebody as a client, you're meeting somebody, you're meeting a client for closing a sales deal or whatever that might be, those situations largely depend upon the first impressions that you're creating, because people like to work with people that they can trust. So trust is a very, very important factor here. And that will only happen if you're creating the right first impressions with the person that you're meeting, especially for interviews. So interviews, there would be more than one round, obviously. So it wouldn't end with just one round of interview. You would be called for the next round is when you create the right first impressions in the first round. When you're going to meet somebody to close a business deal, usually it just doesn't happen in one meeting. But the chances of getting the second meeting largely depends upon what is the impression that you're creating in the first meeting itself. So first impressions are very important. And in fact, there's a study done on first impressions by Professor Michael Suna-Frank, and he's come up with a theory on first impressions, and he calls it the predicted value outcome theory, which is called the PVOT. And the theory goes on to say that your interactions with people will depend largely on the impressions that you've created. So he collated a lot of information, and he put it all together. He studied it, and he said that first impressions are very important. You actually predict the outcome of your interactions based on the impressions that you've created. And strangers make decisions within just 3 to 7 seconds of meeting you. It is that quick. It is that quick. And this is, again, a study done by University of California, Los Angeles, wherein they did a study on first impressions, and they came to the conclusion that it just takes 3 to 7 seconds to create a first impression about a person when you're meeting for the first time. It's like you're like a piece of cake there with layers, and people are literally dissecting you, cutting you up, observing you top to bottom, layer by layer. And your presentation, your total presentation, the way you look, the way you taste, everything layer by layer, they're like literally dissecting you. And no matter who you are, no matter what you do, no matter what your job, you're constantly being evaluated at all times. So then, why is this stuck? All right, so then the question is, are you aware of the facets of yourself or the facets of your image that you're displaying? All right, are you even aware of what you're displaying there for people to see? Can you say what a stranger is looking at you when they are meeting you for the very first time? So these are the questions that actually come up as to what is it that they're looking at me? And the $1 million question now is, does your image work for you or against you, right? So again, some examples here for you to see. I have put together these 3 pictures of these 3 young men, and I would say these are fund managers. Okay, they manage your funds. Now, just looking at this picture, who would you put your bets on with your money?
The person with the formal.
The person with the formal. And why do you say that?
Because you know, he gives that kind of impression that, you know, he's a tidy, he's well managed, he's decent. So I think that impression, the first impression, yeah. What are we talking about?
So it's the first impression. So you don't even know their backgrounds. You don't know what is their experience. You really don't know who's good at what he does. But just looking at this picture, and if I ask you to pick up one person who you could trust your funds with, you would go with the gentleman on in the formal attire with the pant and a shirt and a tie. Now look at this image. Okay, these are three ladies who are school teachers, secondary school teachers. And if I ask you, who would you like your child to study with? Who would you pick?
Third one.
Not the mommies here, the daddies here. Who would you pick?
Yeah? Maybe daddies will go for a beautiful one.
Yeah, go on. The daddies would go with the beautiful. But I think all three are very good looking here, isn't it? Yeah. All three are pretty good looking here. So if you really have to choose somebody who you would like your child to study with in a school, come on, who would you want it to be?
I would go with the third one.
The one on the right with the green blazer. Yeah. Obviously, because you don't have this image of you know, school teachers being dressed in shorts or coming dressed in this in the attire that the middle lady is dressed in. Definitely not. So you would definitely choose the one on the right. And now look at this. All right, you're unwell and you want to go to a doctor. Who would you go to?
First two are scary.
Yeah.
To be a doctor.
Yeah. Precisely. So obviously you would have your doubts when going to the first two, and you would choose mostly the one on the extreme right. Yeah, he looks a little more presentable. So you see, the point that I'm trying to make here is that first impressions are so important, and you actually know nothing about them. You're just looking at a picture. And still you would say, okay, this is the person I want to go to manage my funds, or this is the person I want to be my child's school teacher, or this is the doctor I'd like to visit. So then what really is image management? It's a very active, ongoing process where you're constantly evaluating yourself, you know, constantly looking at your own image and working to present yourself in the best way so that you're creating the right first impressions when you meet people. And not only when you're meeting people for the very first time, you can also alter image to create a better, you know, a better impressions about yourself, because impressions do change. So even if you've entered a workplace, or if you're working in some place with a certain image and you want to better your image at your workplace, you definitely can do that. So I've worked with somebody, just to give an example here, I've worked with somebody who was already working at a very high position, and there were some challenges at work where he felt that people were not taking him very seriously. Okay, his team members. And so then we kind of reworked his image in certain ways, wherein the entire dynamics changed over there. So it is creating an authentic, appropriate, attractive, affordable, personal and professional image, which affects people's perceptions of you, which in turn affects your success. Now, these are called the 4 A's of image management. And let me just kind of brief you a little bit about this. Authentic, because it has to be personal to you, because each person is different. I did say that, you know, just like a thumb impression, each one of us is different. You cannot be exactly same like the other person. So your image has to be authentic. Only when it is authentic, only when it is reflecting you in the right way, will people connect with you in a better way. It has to be appropriate to the industry that you're working in, appropriate to the, you know, to the place that you live in. So there's a lot of factors that come in here as well. It has to be attractive. You know, you want to look attractive. You want to look presentable at all times. People do get attracted to people do get, you know, pulled to attractive things. That's why packaging and visual appeal is so important. Yeah. because people do get pulled towards attractive things. And the last one is affordable. Of course, not everybody can afford a Gucci, not everybody can afford a Prada, not everybody can afford the very high-end brands. At the same time, it's very, very possible for you to create the correct, appropriate image within the resources that you have. So even I don't wear, very high-end brands. I'm not there yet, but still at the same time, I work on very, very consciously on creating an authentic, appropriate, and attractive image for myself within the resources that I have. It is a science. So when you talk about image and enhancing your image, it's definitely a science. And I call it a science because it has certain elements. So there are elements that go together to create an image. And it is also an art. And I call it an art because these elements that you have about an image, they have to be put together in a very, very harmonious way. Because if it doesn't come together in a harmonious way, what you're going to see is not what you're going to like. So you don't want to hosh posh there. You have to understand what the elements of image are so that you are using it in the right way to enhance your image. That's what we want, right? To enhance a professional image. Not only professionally, you can also enhance your image personally and socially. So I want to show you this clip, and this is one of my favorite clips from the movie Pretty Woman. And I don't know how many of you have seen it, but here is, you can see how Julia Roberts, she's going into a very upscale market, and she enters a shop, and how those shopkeepers, those two ladies in the shop just wouldn't wait on her. They insult her, they ridicule her, and they throw her out. And then she comes back the next day, and how surprised they are to look at her. And this is just by talking about impressions, how important the impressions are. So let's take a look at this.
May I help you? I'm just checking things out. Are you looking for something in particular? No, well, yeah. Something conservative. Yes. You got nice stuff. Thank you. How much is this? I don't think this would fit you. Well, I didn't ask if it would fit. I asked how much it was. How much is this, Marie?
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive. Look, I got money to spend in here. I don't think we have anything for you. You're obviously in the wrong place. Please leave.
So they kind of humiliate her and throw her out.
Pretty woman, stop a while. Pretty woman, talk a while. Pretty woman, give your smile to me. Pretty woman, yeah, yeah, yeah. Pretty woman, look my way. Pretty woman, say you'll stay.
Hello, thank you. Hi. Hello. Do you remember me? No, I'm sorry. I was in here yesterday. You wouldn't wait on me? Oh. You work on commission, right? Yes. Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go shopping now.
So you see that, yeah? That how just by changing the appearance, how much of a difference it makes to you. So let's look at the elements of image. So I call it the ABCD of image. And you've got to be very mindful, and you've got to work on all these elements if you want to enhance or build your image in a certain way. So what are the elements? So A is the first element, which is appearance and grooming. And then each element again has sub-elements within it, right? So let's look at the sub-elements of the A. And this is the order it follows, yeah? So when we talk about um, being mindful of your image, or image management, there's a certain order it follows. So the first thing always and always is your appearance and grooming. Even before you've said a hello, people have observed you on the clothes that you're wearing. So what are these sub elements? It's the elements of clothing, which is line, shape, color, texture, pattern. There's the international style scale. There's the yin and yang elements of clothing, and also your own personality. There's the principles of coordination, body line, vertical body proportions, face shapes, personal colors, accessories, grooming. This comes only within the A. And, this is very extensive. I cannot cover it in so much time. But yes, these are the elements that you need to keep in mind when you are dressing up. Okay, so this is the A element. Then look at here. So this is the same person. Okay, and exactly the same person wearing the same suit. The only difference here is how the suit is fitting him. Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make here, the difference between good and great sometimes lies in the details. So it's the same person wearing exactly the same fabric, the same suit, is just that how the suit is tailored in a different way, which is making so much of a difference. And he's looking very, very sharp on the picture in the right. So this is to do with your appearance. Then talking about the B element of an image. Now, what is the B element? It's your body language, it's your belief systems, and it's your behaviors. Body language, again, is the proxemics, which is the study of spaces, the spaces between people. It's kinesics, which is everything to do with your body movements and hand gestures. Oculesics is the eye movements. So how do you, where your eyes are moving. So it's everything to do with that. Obviously, very strongly your belief systems, because a lot of your behaviors are coming from your inherent belief systems that you have. So it works like this. Your results will always come from your actions, and your actions will come from the behaviors and the beliefs that you hold. So your belief systems are also a very, very important part of your image, right? Then it's your behaviors. And when I talk about the behaviors, it's the etiquettes, it's it's the mannerisms in social and professional setups. We have so many types of etiquettes. It could be email etiquettes, it could be phone etiquettes, there are line etiquettes, so many types of etiquettes that we have that we need to keep in mind. Dining etiquettes, which is very important, because nowadays so many meetings, professional meetings, are happening outside boardrooms. You go to coffee shops, you go to dinners, and so many deals get closed over dinners. So you need to have the right dining etiquettes. You need to know restaurant etiquettes and stuff like that. So these are all little things that go up to build your image. Again, when talking about body language, it's about the expressions that we have. Just by looking at a person's expressions, we can make out at what state he is in, whether he's happy, excited, confused, sad, things like that. So this is part of your body language. Coming back to this image again, just by looking at them, you can make out that, what's going on between these two couples, and how happy and how connected the couple on the right looks as compared to the other one. So body language, yes, this is about body language again. Coming to communication. Now, the communication is visual, verbal, and vocal. This is the communication model developed by Professor Albert Mehrabian. He was again, there was a study done on this, and he came up with this communication model where he says the visual communication is 55%. And what is the visual? It's the appearance and body language, something that you see. Okay, so it's the appearance. You're also communicating visually by the way you dress. You're communicating by your body language. And even when you're silent, you're still communicating. So you're communicating at all times, whether you're saying something or you're not saying something. You're communicating with the way you're dressed, with the way you're sitting, the way you're walking, the way you're talking. And that's visual communication. Verbal is how you say what you say. So that means your pronunciations, your tonality, the volume, the pauses, the pitch, the how you're projecting your words. So that's the verbal, how you're saying it, the tone, the volume, all of that is the verbal part of the communication. And words, what you say is just 7%, right? So this is the communication model that Professor Albert Mehrabian has developed. So you have the vocals, you have the words that you're using, but more important than that is how you're saying some things, and the visual, of course, which is the way you're dressed and also your body language. Besides that, I also believe that it's also very important, the self-talk that you're having, because the self-talk or the things that you're telling yourself, the internal dialogue that we have is also very, very important, which kind of develops your image in a certain way. So how you process the information internally, the self-dialogue that you're having will determine your belief systems about yourself, which will reflect on the outside as well. So these are the tiny, tiny nuances about your image on the whole. So how are you talking to yourself at all times? Be very mindful of that as well. Then how you're communicating with others, right? How you are building up your rapport with others when you're meeting them. What is it that you're telling them and how it is that you're telling them? So the hows are very important here. And if I have to add one small little tip here, which has always, always worked for everybody, if you can use emotive words when you're speaking to someone, and when I say emotive words, these are because everybody understands emotions, right? That's one thing which is very common to everybody. So if you can use emotive words when you are talking with somebody, that will help you build up a connection better. So whether you're talking to a friend, whether you're talking to your boss, whether you're talking to an interviewer, whether you're talking to a client, do your best to include some emotive words over there and see the difference it makes. So this is about communication. Then coming to the D aspect of your image, which is the digital imprint. Now, we are on social media like never before. Yeah, it was so much better earlier on when we didn't have it, but of course, everything has its pros and cons. So we are already on social media, various channels on social media. So we have LinkedIn, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we know it. And we put out so much of information out there, which again is creating your image in a certain way. People are looking at you, perceiving you in a certain way. And especially there are agencies now whose only job is to analyze you as a person looking at your social media profiles. So for big corporations, in fact, when they're looking at to hire people, they hire these agencies who will look up at all of your social media profiles, from the things that you're posting there, the kinds of friends that you're having, all of it, and they kind of analyze you, what kind of a person you are. What is it that you do during your work hours? What is the kind of life that you're having after work hours? Everything. So also very, very important to be mindful of the kind of things that you're posting out there on social media. This also goes into building up your image in a certain way. And the last thing, or the last element that I would say of image, is your energetic influence. So we know that we have energy. We all carry energy, right? And we're part of this entire universe, which is also energetic. Talking about quantum science here, quantum science has proved that at the very fundamental unit of everything and everyone is energy. So what is your energy like? What energy are you throwing out? The vibrations that we know. So we say, right, I get good vibes from this person, I don't get very good vibes from this person. So this is what are vibes basically. These are the vibrations, and vibrations is nothing but energy. And the thoughts that you carry, the feelings that you carry, are all communicating information about you energetically. So if you are meeting somebody, again, for an interview or for a business deal, or even interacting with your colleagues in the same office, what energy are you at? Because that's a kind of subconscious communication that's happening when people can sense your energies, right? So that's what we call vibes. So if you are nervous, or if you're confident, or, you know, whatever thoughts and feelings that you're carrying is the energy that you're vibrating out, and that is what people pick up. So that also goes a very, very long way in building up your image. And you don't literally have to be even, you know, seeing that person for that matter. Even if you're talking to somebody on the phone, you can sense their energy, right? So the energy is also very, very important when you're creating or building up your image for that matter. So let's, oh yeah, coming to this slide. What is this? These are the image breakers, or things that we are not aware of, things that we do intentionally, unintentionally, which are called image breakers. So they are the things that, they are the ones, or they are the culprits that don't create a very good impression about you, or they are, it's called the image breakers, right? So you've got to be mindful of these things. So let's have a recap about sharpening your professional image. How can you do it? So we are creating impressions all the time. This is something that you have to remember, because impressions can keep changing all the time. It's not that once you've created an image and that will last a lifetime. No, you are creating impressions all the time when you're meeting people. And we also know that we as people, as professionals, we want to evolve. Nobody wants to be stagnant. Nobody wants to be at the same level all the time, right? So if you are here today and you want to move to a higher level, what is it that you're doing now with your image? Because you need to start change impressions about you, about yourself, to let people know that you're ready to move on to the next level. So it's a constantly going on process. It's a never ending process. It has to be very proactive, where you are consciously making those changes to create better impressions at all times. And this impression, like we say, is our image, the way people perceive us. And it's about image management. Is all about creating the right impressions because your success inevitably depends on the impressions and the image you're creating. So appearance and grooming, body language, behavior, communication with self and others, your digital imprint, your energetic influence are the main elements of image that you need to be very mindful of at all times. And to end, I would just like to end with this quote by Barbara Walters. She's a very famous American broadcast journalist, and she says, "There are a few times in your life when it isn't too melodramatic to say that your destiny hangs on the impression you make." And I would say it's not only few times, it's at all times that, you know, we can be the creators of our destiny at all times, just by being mindful of these 5 major elements that I've just spoken of. So yes, I think keeping in time, let's get on with some question answers now.
Wow, Shagufta, that was really amazing.
Just a second, let me stop my screen share so that, you know, then I can at least see all of you now, because at the moment I cannot. So I'll just stop it. Let me escape this. All right.
I've stopped it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for
Good.
helping me out. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, there are a lot of things. I think, you know, for all of us, there are many things that are eye-opening for us as well, because there are really, really tiny things, you know, making difference, and we don't know about it, isn't it? Thank you so much for your presentation, and we're moving to Q&A. So, guys, if anybody has any question, please write that on a chat, and I'll address to Shagufta. And if I miss any of the questions, please, volunteers, please do help me. See, first question I have, which I had before. Yeah, this is from one of the audience. See, when it comes to work, end of the day, you know, what result you're getting, that matters, isn't it? How much of a great person you are, or whatever. See, that's one part. But end of the day, you're creating a result at work. So don't you think that being qualified enough for the job is enough to get a job, or being in a workplace? What do you have to say about that?
All right. So like I said, qualification is one thing, Jiban. Okay, you may be qualified, but is that the only thing that an employer is looking for? You may have the best qualifications, but if you're not able to present yourself in the right way, And again, when we're talking about, first time, when you're going for an interview, especially, because this is about Dubai jobs hunt, so I will keep with interviews in mind. When you're going for the first time, you may have a candidate having say there are two candidates there, each one having the same academic qualification, each one having a similar kind of an experience. And if then they have to make a choice and there's one position available, and if then they have to make a choice, it's the other factors that make all the difference, right? So why
Yes,
would
it
you
does.
want to take a chance? Why would you want to take a chance? And even, yes, obviously, right? So if it boils down to a choice between two candidates who have exactly the same academic qualification, who have exactly the same experience or maybe no experience, then it comes down to the other things. Okay, how are they dressed? How are they presenting themselves? How are they talking? What are their body languages? What are their etiquettes and mannerisms? So these are the things that would then become a deciding factor for the employer. So you've got
True.
to be very, very cautious about all things at all times. And again, are you dressed? Are you dressed for the industry? Because every industry has a different dress code. Yeah. So you've got to be very mindful of these things. Colors, textures, patterns, all of these are subtle things that make a difference to your image. Colors have an impression, make a certain impression. The textures that you're wearing, the cuts, the lines, the shapes, everything. What level of dressing are you wearing? So there's something called as the international style scale. So at what level are you dressed? All of this makes a lot of a difference when you're meeting somebody.
True, true. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. Thanks so much for asking the question. I think you have got your answer. I have one inquiry from Shakshi. She's saying that you haven't touched much on image breakers. So please give some example. And other one is how much place emotional intelligence holds in creating an impression.
Okay, so let me answer you the first one first. Sakshi, thank you for your question. It's a wonderful question. So you asked me about image breakers. What are image breakers? All right. For example, if you are for guys, it's very easy to explain with this example with guys in mind. So if you're if you're wearing leather belts with canvas shoes, that's an image breaker. Okay. For ladies, if I say you are probably the colors, I would say, if you're wearing a dress, and what color dress are you well coordinated with the things that you're wearing again? So that could be an image breaker. An image breaker could be the fit of your dress. That could be an image breaker. Okay, for ladies, a very good example is the accessories that you wear. So you always would wear earrings, and you would wear a little pendant in your hand, and you would wear your watches. So are the metals matching? If the metals are not matching, that becomes an image breaker, because these are little distractions that are happening. If you're wearing prints on your clothes, where is the print positioned on your dress? Because you have a certain body shape, okay? You have a certain body structure. So if the prints that you're wearing is not in the right position, that can be an image breaker. So there are a lot of things that go into image, things about that go under the topic of image breakers. And the second one is how much place emotional intelligence holds in creating an impression. A lot, because emotional intelligence comes down to your behaviors. So how intelligently are you able to manage your behaviors or your emotions? Right? So that is under the B element, which is behaviors. Are you intelligent enough to manage your emotions in the right way? That's emotional intelligence. Basically, what is emotional intelligence? Are you intelligently able to manage your emotions? That is a behavior. So definitely all of it, basically everything about you, every little thing about you is creating an image. And the 5 big elements that we spoke of, A, B, C, D, E, appearance, body language, behaviors, communication with self and others, your digital imprint, your energetic influence, everything is making up your image. How does social media influence employers? So like I said, a lot of HRs these days would even look up your, your social media profiles, because there's a lot of information about you out there. So they will look you up on Facebook, they will look you up on Instagram, and they will look you up on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, people are a little cautious because that's a professional network, but employers are smarter. They look you up on Facebook as well. They look you up on Instagram as well. Just to see the kind of friends and the kind of activities that you indulge in out of workplace, because it's all very holistic now, the personality that you are. So digital impressions are also very important. Everything goes in to make up your image. Tulika says,
Sure.
take my question. Yes, Tulika,
Yeah.
what was your question?
Yes, her question was how to build your image at work, so you will be taken seriously, especially by your subordinates.
Sorry, I just lost you there. Can you just repeat that again?
How to build your professional image at work, so you will be taken seriously, especially your subordinates. Yeah,
okay, it all depends on the industry that you're in. So it's very industry specific. It's very job profile specific. At what level are you? So are you a team leader or are you a team player? Because if you're a team leader, then you have to dress in a certain way. Managerial. Okay. So Tulika, if you're at the managerial position and you want to have that authoritative thing about your with your subordinates, then you need to dress up in a level 3 or a level 4. And again, which is your industry? Which is your industry here?
E-commerce.
E-commerce?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So when you say e-commerce, you are interacting with clients one-on-one, or is it just within your office?
Actually, it involves, thank you, Shagufta, for taking my question. Hi. So it involves multiple, of course, level of interactions. So I have regular interactions with my clients, with my subordinates, as well as my team members, right? So when it comes to image building, etc. So do you think, is there any way how we can build up that image? Because I'm having regular interactions with all the teams.
So yeah. It depends a lot, Tulika, on first seeing what your image is now, what is lacking, what you're not doing right. Okay, so I will not be able to just tell you what is it that you need to change with yourself, first knowing where you are. So when I work individually with people, I do a full assessment. We see what the industry, what is the profile, what is it that you are dressing now, and what is it that we need to change, because just by changing even the dressing, it makes a difference. So there are a lot of things. Of course, I spoke about everything, but if I have to tell you one thing here with your managerial position, what kind of clothes are you wearing at work? Let me ask you this.
Usually it's semi formal. I'm not totally formally dressed, but usually it's semi-formal, because obviously it leads to a long working hours culture. So can't completely be formally dressed, but at times I do formally dress as well. So
yeah. So semi-formals, are you, when you talk of semi-formals, are you wearing jackets and blazers? So what do you mean by semi-formal?
Yeah, just maybe a what do you say, formal top with a casual jeans or something. But usually I wear a black jeans so that it matches up with the attire. And yeah, usually formal shoes as well.
Okay, so what would work for you is to go a level 3, which is you need to add a blazer or a jacket on. That'll make some difference.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much, Shagufta. Thank you for taking so much time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me know. And then there are a lot of things, yeah. So even with the colors that you wear, even when you talk about a formal top, what sort of a formal top? Is it suiting your colors? So when you talk about appearance, there are also face shapes. There are personal colors, there are body shapes, there are body proportions. Are you doing it the right way? This is not about fashion. No. This is about wearing clothes that make you look authoritative, make you look, at the level that you are at.
Thank you so much, Shagufta, for answering my question. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'll post one more Jiban for you. You can take it up later. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Tulika.
How can we make, okay, so I'm reading this out for you,
Yeah.
Jivan. How can we make the best first impression in an online platform?
Yes. So
Okay,
this is from Major Narayan, who's here, who's our continuous participant and our well wisher as well.
all right. Thank you so much for your question, Major. So how can we make the best first impression in an online platform? Now, online platform, I assume that you're being a speaker, right? So online platform is everything to do with your first visual appearance, the way you're dressed, very important, the surrounding, where you're sitting. So you've got to be careful of that. I came to this particular office to have this. I didn't do it from home. I could have. If it was okay, I was talking to some parent, I would have done it at home. But because this was a professional, so I changed my surrounding. So every little thing matters here. So your environment, the way you're dressed, the way you're talking, how knowledgeable are you about your own subject matter. So everything about that is creating the first impressions. The first thing that everybody notices about you is the way you're dressed and groomed. So take very, very good care of that. Does, yeah. Can we go with the next one? Any tips, job
Yes.
search for an interview, online or offline? There are a lot of tips for interview. In fact, I do an entire workshop on interview preparation. There's not one thing. There are a host of things that you need to keep in mind when you're going for an interview, online or offline. Yeah. So, and the one thing, if I have to give you one tip, I think I've already shared that. Use emotive words when you're talking with people. That really helps. Okay.
Cool.
And other than that, oh my God, there are so many things to keep in mind when you're doing an
Yeah.
interview. Yeah.
Definitely. With your presentation, and there are a lot of things, isn't it? When it comes to knowingly, unknowingly, it's affecting us. Yeah. Thank you so much for answering that question. Santosh Soni said, "Does keeping a little bit beard create a bad impression?"
Santosh, no, it doesn't create a bad impression. It does not. It's a personal choice. Okay. But then again, your beard should be well groomed. It should not be unkept. It should not be, like growing out and not well trimmed and not well kept. So, beard is not a bad impression. Again, is it suiting you? And even if you choose to keep a beard, it has to be well trimmed at all times. Sharp.
Yeah. Good. I hope Santosh that answers your question. I have some questions noted down. Just a minute. Yeah. This from an audience. He's not revealing his name. His curiosity is, a working person who has a bad image, let's say at work, yeah, and he has realized that yes, and there is something he's doing wrong, and he want to improve. What is the first step he can do, and how he can move along the way to improve his impression?
So it all depends again on which of the five elements that he's lacking on. So he may be very good in his dressing, but his behaviors may be lacking. He may be lacking on his communication. He may be not, very well, or his energy may not be good. Probably. So it all depends from person to person. It all depends on where you are and where you want to go. So you've got to kind of assess yourself, and it's not like one size fits all. It's very, very bespoke. It's very bespoke. Okay, so it all depends on what industry, what level, where you are at each of these elements, and you've got to work on each one of them. It's not that you just work on the A and you leave out the B and the C and the D. No, it doesn't work that way. That's why I said it's always a work in progress. You have to constantly and very proactively keep working on yourself at all times. If you look at me 3 years back, I was not the same. So I've been constantly working on myself on all of these elements to kind of create the image that I want for myself. And when I meet people, I'm very mindful of the impressions I'm creating on them. I dress up very, very, deliberately, keeping in mind with who the meeting is, for what purpose it is. Am I going to meet a parent? Am I going to meet a corporate? So I dress accordingly. I will not wear this when I'm going to meet a parent. No, I don't want to intimidate them. I want it to be a more friendly. No, I want to meet them as a mother, as a parent myself. So I will not go wearing this. Definitely not. So it's all very, very deliberate choices that I make when I'm meeting somebody for the first time, especially.
Great. I hope that answers your question. And I have another one. We everybody says that these days that be yourself. Yeah, and this is it's funny, but it's interesting. What about a person with self-doubt? Yeah, how they can work on their self-image?
Okay, so self-doubt. I love this question because, oh my God, you can't imagine the self-doubt that I had myself, and this is where your self-talk. So when you talk about communication, there is an internal dialogue that's coming up. And what is self-doubt? It's an internal dialogue. You're doubting yourself. You're telling yourself that I doubt myself. And those doubts can be coming. So one way that can help you remove the self-doubt is working on your appearance, because immediately when you wear good clothes, you start feeling confident. You know that, right? The doubts can come from various other factors and parameters as well. What are you doubting? Are you doubting your skills? Are you doubting your knowledge? Are you doubting, so if you know you have the skills and the knowledge that you need, are you still doubting whether you'll be able to kind of create that rapport? So then you need to work on yourself, and there are so many techniques that you can use to work on yourself, right? So we use NLP, we use hypnotherapy, we learn techniques, we work on ourselves to take care of this self-doubt. And the one thing which is very important is, of course, your self-talk. If you keep telling yourself that I'm doubting myself, that is what you keep bringing up for yourself and again and again. So you've got to work on yourself, telling yourself that I'm confident, I know I can do it. Yeah. So this is all about self-talk then. And there's a way of doing it. Yeah, that also is a deep science in itself, as to what is the mind model, how does the mind work, what are the levels of the mind, and how can I work around these things to then get over the self-doubt that I'm having.
Wow, amazing, loved it. And definitely I would say the creating an image and maintaining it, it's a long process, isn't it? Because we even don't know that there was a long time I even didn't know that I had some flaws that I had to take care of that. So there was a time when I was working in retail, I used to think that I'm just doing my job, why my manager doesn't like me? And then I realized that there are some of my behavior which I was not aware of was affecting that. So any of you, I would say, Sushma, Shagufta is helping the clients to work on your self-image. And if you need any kind of help, you can reach out to her. She's here to help, and so you can reach out to her, and she will be happy to help. So see, it's 8:12 already. So we're going to take maximum 2 questions now. So if you have any questions, you can put in a chat. Otherwise, have some question written from the audience. I'll go with that. So yes, Shakshi has one question on the chat. I think she picked up this one from your title. What is a sleep talk? Can you give us some insights?
Okay, so SleepTalk is basically it's a very simple, easy parent solution to work with their kids, either with the behavioral issues, academic issues, developmental issues. So here we are working with kids between the age of 0 to 13 years, because we know the initial years are the formative years, right? So it's basically a solution for parents to raise the self-esteem, the self-confidence of the children. And I'm working with a lot of parents with autistic children with different kind of issues. So that's basically a parent program.
Okay, Thank you. Thank you so much. I have a last question now. So since we're, it's a 13 only, I have a last question with you. See, when we say that, when talking about self-image, the one thing is coming in my mind that we have to take care how other people are taking, looking at us, right? How they are, what kind of image they're having in their mind for us. So, if we just we keep on thinking about that, don't we think that we will be so much conscious all the time? And that there is another saying that, we say that, what others thinks of you, that's none of your business. You should be, so I want to be clarify how we can balance this thing together. So, so we not be, like over the flow or below the line. How we can balance it?
Jiban, wonderful question. Yeah. So there are two things here. One is that you said that what others think of me is none of my business. Okay, that's coming from a very different thought. But when we are talking professionally, yeah, that is definitely, you are interacting with people. You have your seniors, you have your subordinates, you have your juniors, you have your clients. You're working with people all the time. And like I said, people like to do business and they like to work with people they like and they trust. Okay, so you cannot say, I don't care what he thinks of me, because you're obviously working or you're interacting with people. That is a different, that is about how you, okay, when you say that I don't care what people think about me, that's about uh, having a very bold self-image in a way that it just doesn't matter to you what people think. So when you talk about people doing out of the normal things, you have now, gay relationships and the LGBT community, right? So they would be the ones who would say, okay, I don't care what people think about me, I'm still going to do what I like to do. So that is where you're talking, that is from that context. All right, I would still do things that I want to do and I don't really bother what people think about me. That's about doing things that you love. That's about moving on your soul's journey, and it can be anything for that matter. But when in the professional context, when you're working with people, you definitely have to be mindful of how you're presenting yourself to everybody. Like those images you saw, right? The fund manager, the school teacher, the doctor. If you're a doctor, you have to present yourself a certain way. You cannot say, okay, I'm going to dress in my rock star clothes and then people will come to me for treatment. No, they will not. So yeah, so you have to be mindful of your image, professional image, when you are in the workspace.
So because balancing balance is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, but the other thing that you were talking about, I don't care what people think, that's about the choices that you make for yourself. And if you're okay to live with the consequences of it, fair enough, go ahead and do it. Okay, fair enough, go ahead and do it if you don't care, if it's not making any difference to your life. But most of the time, yeah.
Thank you so much. And here I conclude this Q&A session. And Sakshi is really excited with the talk, and she said that she will connect with you. And there are definitely many other people who want to work on their personal image and they don't know how to do it. So if they want to contact with you, and so if you want to briefly tell about how you help them.
Okay, so I'm putting my email here. I think that'll be a great way to, if you want to like just send me an email and connect, and I will get in touch with you. So I'm just putting my email here, shagufta@changewithrene.com. That's my email.
Yeah, I've shared your LinkedIn and Facebook profile as well on the chat.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you.
Yeah. So guys, if anybody want to connect, so LinkedIn, Facebook, or through our email, you can connect with that. And thank you so much. This is a really, really important point because, as you said that, people say that don't judge the book by its cover, but every time we do it, isn't it? It's just it comes naturally natural to people. So
Yes.
we better be careful, what is holding us back. And when it comes to job search, the people, before you enter, they will start judging it. So thank you so much for clarifying a lot of things, and I'm really grateful to you. I thank you from on behalf of everybody, and to express our gratitude, I have one of our volunteer, Shushma. Shushma, would you please unmute yourself on video, and let me share.
Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful evening again, and awesome session. Thank you, Shagufta. I have my notes on. I have written down so many things. I've taken few screenshots, and it was wonderful session. And I'm sure with everybody in the session, they would have definitely taken so much, and I'm sure they are ready to connect with you anytime, because every slide you shared, every information you have given us has added value in last almost an hour. And I'm thankful to share what you have shared with us. And thank you to the audience as well to ask the wonderful questions. It has been a wonderful evening, wonderful session with amazing speaker. Thank you, Shagufta, once again.
Thanks to you, thanks to Brainciti, thanks to Dubai Jobs Hunt for getting me here, to the opportunity to share with you. I absolutely loved being here, sharing whatever I could in the little time that we had today.
Yes. And thank you everyone for being here, asking the queries. And I'm sure you all have much. You can definitely connect one-on-one with Shagufta. Recently, not recently, in short span, we'll be doing a workshop also with her. She can help you all with all your queries, with all your image management on the interview part. So please connect with her. She's a great help in that area, and the people who have taken help from her are thriving. I have also few examples I have seen, so which is very obvious. She's very good at it. Please go ahead and connect with her one-on-one. She can definitely help with you with the image management, with the interview preparation. Thank you, Shagufta, once again.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. So we will also be coming up with the workshop, and let's see what's in store for us. Thank you.
So the interview preparation workshop, and just say one line about that. It's everything that you need to keep in mind when you're going for an interview, and how do you give great answers, which helps you crack the interview like this. So the interview prep workshop is all about basically your interviews, everything that you need to keep in mind for your interviews.
Awesome.
Wow.
I'm sure many of us are looking forward to it, Shagufta.
You're welcome.
Definitely. Thank you so much for reaching out for help. And to my audience, I would just like to say that we're on Telegram, we're on Facebook, and we're in WhatsApp group. So you can go and connect with us. Follow us on Facebook, where you can find a lot of job vacancies, and at the same time, there are a lot of videos from our founder Abel Pinto, which will help you, guide you how you can plan your job search as well. So we're on Instagram as well. So at the same time, Brainciti and Dubai Jobs Hunt, we are in YouTube as well. So if there's any session you have missed, you can go and revisit it. And if you feel that today what you have learned that added value to you, and there's anyone who your friend, family, or whoever they're looking for a job and they want help, please do share this information with them. So as they say, the sharing is caring. So please, go and learn by yourself and help others to learn as well.